Hello, everybody. I hope that everybody is having a great day in the universe. Brian here again in the seven aspects of life. The vehicle that helps us to minimize distractions, helps us to smoothen out the bumps on the road on our way to a destination as we work on fulfilling our purposes, as we work on achieving our goals and chasing our dreams. The vehicle, which are the seven aspects that, when they are well taken care of, they help us to make it a little bit easier. Like just like that prayer that says that you ask God not to make your life easy, but to make you tougher. So this is like a structure that helps you to know which areas to toughen, which areas to troubleshoot, which areas to maintain, which areas to take to the next level. Just like a regular vehicle, you can, if you have any challenges with the operations of the vehicle or the performance, you have a manual, a book where you can look into, and it can tell you, if you're the best places to troubleshoot. So this is like your vehicle, that you have to maintain. It makes life a little bit easier. It reduces the mystery of life. And they say that every problem is a wisdom problem, meaning that if you have a problem in a certain aspect of life, certain situation, the problem is not the problem. The problem is lack of wisdom in that area. So and that it just makes life easy. Wisdom makes life easy. It might not take away the obstacles. It might not help you to have an easy life, but it makes you stronger. So the strength that you gain is what makes life easy. But it's not making life easy in a sense of making you weak. It's making you it makes life easy because you become stronger. It's just like when you're lifting, when you're curling like a 40-pound dumbbell. When you start at first, it's gonna be hard, but the more you work at it, the easier it becomes. So because you have built muscle, your biceps have been built and become stronger. Curling that 40-pound dumbbell, if it was a challenge for you at first, becomes easy. So life just became easy because your muscles got stronger. So that's what it is. That's what this structure is, to help you to know where to troubleshoot again, for the purpose of repetition, where to maintain, if everything's doing good, how to keep it at the same level, and because life is always moving forward, which parts to move forward. So with that, I always like to start with a brief description of what the seven aspects are. We got the spiritual aspect, the soul aspect, the social aspect, the financial aspect, the social aspect, the renewal / rejuvenation aspect, and last but definitely not least, the duplication aspect, where you duplicate yourself, where you teach others the things that are working for you, and they might hopefully they end up working for them, or they can take it and personalize it and customize it to where it works best for them, because we all have different personalities, that we all have different ages, just depending. So this video is going to talk about the seventh aspect of life, which is duplication. I call it duplication because you're pretty much, when you pass on information to anybody, of what has been helping you in life, what has been helping you to achieve victory in life, then you kind of like duplicating yourself. Say for example, teaching your son or your daughter how to drive. You're duplicating yourself in that area. Teaching your children how to deal with their finances, that's duplicating yourself, because they're going to imitate the way you do it, and once eventually they master it, they'll either take it and customize it to their own personalities, or whatever suits them best. But at the beginning, they'll probably be following your advice from letter to letter, to the letter. So this is what it's all about. It's helping, especially if you have children, and knowing that when it comes to kids, there's no limit to when you can start. You start teaching your kids about life as soon as they take their first breath. If you could start, while they were still in the womb, if that was possible. There's people who actually do that. They play music for their children while they're still in the womb of the mother. They'll play like classical, music. I don't know if that's true or not, but they say that it develops the child's brain. I'm not sure if it's true or not. It might be true. I really don't know, but I've heard people do that. So that means these people start from before the baby's born. So what it is that you don't want them to start from scratch. You don't want them to. You've already, you've lived your life. You've made mistakes, and whether you have kids or not, it could be your children. It could be friends that are close to you. It could be really anybody, somebody who's in your inner close circle, because you have that inner circle, and then you have an outer circle, and then the circles get wider and wider, as when it comes to society and who you interact with. So you start with the people who are closest to you. But when it comes to children, the good thing with children is that they are very teachable. Of course, not 100%. Sometimes they'll rebel against you. Obviously, you probably did when you were young too. But they do have their teachability is a whole lot more accessible than adults, unless an adult is like understands that they have to be teachable, and then they open it up on purpose. For children, it's just naturally open, so it's easy to install all the wisdom that you've learned into them, because you don't want them to get bitten by the same dog that bit you. Metaphorically speaking, if you went into pitfalls, you don't want them to go into the same pitfalls. You don't want your kids to get bitten by the same crocodiles you got bit by. You want them to know where the landmines are, because let them start at a higher level than you did. So for example, if your parents didn't teach you how money worked, and you grew up and realized that you're missing that information, and now you accumulated some knowledge, some understanding and wisdom, and you've gained some wisdom about how money works, how to invest, or how to spend it wisely, then it's good that you teach it to them, so that way they don't have to start from zero. If they start understanding money early, you can imagine how far they can get. So it's like they're standing on your shoulders, and when they stand on your shoulders, they can see further into the future than you were able to. So makes you kind of like catapult them to go even further than you did. Like for example, my children, my son is really good at investing in stocks right now, and he's only 19, and he's really getting good at it at 19. So I'm trying to imagine what he'll be like when in his 30s. I've seen it like happen. So I try to talk to him about the spiritual aspect of life, and he works on that. He works on his social, his soul. He understands the concept that I'm talking about. He works out at the gym. I mean, I do too, but what we're talking about is me passing on what I know to him, and now he's taken over, and he's starting to personalize it for himself. He understands how money works, and still learning. Not that he's not a guru now. It just means that he understands the importance, of learning these things. He knows how to deal with himself socially and with others. He knows how to rejuvenate. Like, even if he doesn't he's not a super expert at it, but at least he can appreciate the importance of doing all these things purposefully. Purposefully. He understands how to pass on the information once he's learned it to his friends. Now he's actually teaching his friends how to deal with how to work on stocks and Bitcoin. So if you're listening to this in the future and Bitcoin doesn't exist, it's an artificial online currency. Hopefully it's still there in the future. If you were watching this video 10-20 years from now, but that's the thing. I'm seeing it working. I've been passing it on to him, and till now it doesn't stop. It doesn't mean that because he's going to turn into a 35-year-old man one day, it doesn't mean that I stop, because you're still ahead of him. The things that you still know are a whole lot more than what he knows, and especially if you haven't stopped learning, then you'll always be ahead of him. So that means you constantly always know more than him. But there are things that he also will know more than me, and I humble myself to ask him to teach me some of these things. I actually encourage him, going like, okay, don't only like get fed from me when it comes to spiritual soul, body, or get fed information from me, but also learn some stuff and share with me too, so I can learn from you. And he does that. He'll send me like some TikTok videos or videos about things that interest him, maybe something that I hadn't watched before. And that's the power of sharing with your children. I sometimes share with him the mistakes I've made in life. Sometimes kids want to hear that, because they I believe that sometimes my mistakes that I've made in life are more impactful in terms of him learning the right things to do than when I talk to him about the things that I've done right, or the things that I've learned and implemented in life. He actually kind of likes to hear those more. Maybe that's kind of what I've noticed, because it makes me human. It makes him realize that I am human too, despite the fact that I'm spilling all the knowledge that I've been accumulating on him. Might be overwhelming to him, but when he hears the mistakes I made, okay, it becomes more human. The humanity of it, comes in, for him to realize I'm not perfect, but I'm working towards it. We're all not perfect, but we should always be working towards perfection. And not get upset if we haven't attained it yet. So that's the thing. You need to constantly teach, and then you encourage them, whatever they learn, to share it with their friends. If they're like a teenager who hang out with a bunch of their friends, if they're sharing and they're becoming really good at it, and they've been like, they have knowledge, they have understanding, they've been applying it, and it's working. They should not leave their friends behind, struggling. They should share whatever it is that they're sharing. But of course, I always encourage him to look for friends who want to hear what he has to say, because he might start talking to friends about something and they just glaze away, or as in they don't want to hear. You can tell somebody who doesn't want to hear what you have to say. So I tell them that when you see that body language that somebody's telling you doesn't want to hear, don't push it on him, because in the future they might change their mind. But if you push it on them now, you might be shutting down the desire for them to want to listen to you in the future, maybe after they've changed their mind or they've seen how well it's working for you. So with adults, you're only looking for people looking for you. You're looking for people who desire to know what you know. But with children, I just like with my daughter, I just teach her whatever it is that she needs to learn. Sometimes, of course, they might not like it all the time. They might not appreciate, what you're doing all the time. They might fight back, but I know that they're listening. I know that they are eventually, and it does register, because especially when they try it and it works, when they're kids, it's more impactful for them then when an adult tries it and it works, it's like magic for them. It's like you just solved the world's hunger for them, so it's exciting when you see it working for them. So that way they're more open to learn more from you, but of course expect resistance, which is okay. That's normal. That's usual. Don't worry about it if you get resistance. I know I used to tell my son that it's okay if what I tell you makes you not like me, but it won't stop me from telling it to you because it's important anyways. Just like the creator tells us things that we might not want to hear, but if it's important, it's not going to stop him from telling us. And he's not telling it to us to hurt our feelings. It's just that it's important. For example, if we're standing on a cross street, zebra crossing, and we're about to cross the road, and you see somebody, crossing the road without looking, and there's a car coming about to maybe hurt them. What would you do? You'd probably like run and yank them out of the way, and maybe that yanking action will probably be super rough. They might get a little scuffled or scratched up because of the way you yanked them out of the way, but that the car would have done more damage. It's kind of the same thing. So when your children are doing something wrong and you're trying to correct them, they might leave that situation with scratches. I don't mean physical, I mean metaphorically. They might leave that, they might, after you've corrected them, they might have emotional scratches. They might have spiritual scratches because of what you said. But it's better for them to have those scratches and maybe not like you for a couple of maybe hours or days, but at least whatever it is that you stopped them and helped them to correct, that would have done more damage to them is now been annihilated. The danger, they've subverted the danger. And of course you have to balance it with the good too. I always say that catch your friends, catch your kids doing the right thing. You need to catch them. There's people who catch the kids always doing the wrong thing. Catch them doing the right thing also. And I would say that I try to encourage my kids to not only just get good grades in school, but also kindness and being share, be generous, as I do it too, not just telling them to do it, so they see me doing it. There's one person who gave a very good example of this guru who a mother brought their child to this guru, and this guru was he was just sitting there with how they sit there with their legs crossed, and she brought her child, and she asked the guru to tell the child to stop eating sugar because the child was eating sugar in an unhealthy amounts of sugar he was eating. So the guru tell the mom to come back after 3 days. And that was really like strange because all you have to do is just tell them to stop eating sugar. Why are you asking me to come back after 3 days? So it didn't make sense to that lady, the mom, but she still listened anyway. So after 3 days she came back, and the guru looked at the child and said, stop eating sugar. And the mom was curious. She was like, okay, how come you didn't that's all you had to tell her the first time I brought the kid? Why did you wait for 3 days to tell the kid this? And then the guru said, it's because 3 days ago I was eating unhealthy amounts of sugar myself. So I had to take 3 days to stop so that my advice would be genuine. So that way when I tell him to stop eating sugar, I myself not in the same boat as he is. I'm not in the same boat that he's in. So that that made sense. So that way I try very hard not to tell my kids things that I'm not practicing myself. And of course I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But it should be a very purposeful, conscientious action. Always thinking of what to teach your kids next. What I've seen that has really worked with me is that when my son was growing up, I would try to think of what he would be encountering in the next 2-3 years. For example, if he was about to experience adolescence, when he's about to experience I would try to teach him. I would be like 3 steps ahead of his his spiritual, emotional, and physical development. By the time he got to that place in his emotional, in his spiritual soul and physical development, he was already aware. So that way, when he gets to that stage of his life, he's not been hit by surprises. Because you see, some of us sometimes we tend not to give warning signs or give preparation for our kids as they grow. For example, when they get to the stage where they start getting interested on the opposite sex, it's important to let them know what it is to expect early. What they might start feeling, what the opposite sex might start doing, when it comes in terms of maybe the interaction, and warn them early, so that when that time comes, they're hearing your voice in their head. They like, it's not a surprise to them. Usually it becomes a challenge when the kid gets to that part of life, and because there was no guidance from home, the world is gonna give them guidance. Either you teach them or the world teaches them, and usually when the world teaches them how to handle situations, most of the time it's wrong. It's the wrong way of doing things. It's the way that maybe the most convenient or it's usually not the right way of doing it, and then you get surprised and wonder why your kid has gone, has derailed. It's because when they got to that place, they needed guidance and the wrong people guided them. So for example, talking to them about money while they're still young, teaching them where money comes from, how to budget, how to give, how to not spend all your money, how credit works. They're never too young to learn how credit works. Why not? So that way, by the time they're 19, the information, the knowledge about credit is way more advanced than it would have been on a regular, maybe normal kid out there. So you kind of teaching them about the spiritual aspect, creator and all that that pertains to that, praying, teaching them how to read the holy scriptures, teaching them how to update their thinking and upgrade their thinking, teaching them how to exercise early. Even though kids, we know they run around and they're super active, they can still learn that. They can learn how to like I said, finances. They can learn how to interact with their friends, if something's happening. What I believe is that what has worked for me is I try to teach my kids how to win regardless. For example, if their friends are mean to them, how to maybe not get that affect them so much. If their friends are kind to them, either way, to respond in a way that they win anyway. And I don't mean vengeance or hit them back, or I just mean to be able to control themselves, to be able to not let things get into them, to maybe take the wind off of the sail of a bully. So that way, when they grow with these principles, it becomes so easy because they're minimizing distractions. They have purposes, they have goals, and they'll have dreams too. They're born with them. So it'll help them to minimize all, and they'll achieve their dreams and goals. And once they do that, get more, it'll become easier for them to. They will not start at the same level you were with, and they will be teaching their kids the same thing. So their kids also, will be starting at a higher level than they were. So imagine if that was the trend, if that's what your generation after generation after generation was doing that, can you imagine how far the earth, the world would be if we all did that? When you go to the, like for example, you go to the spiritual aspect and you figure out, okay, what's the next thing I need to teach my kids about this area? The social the soul aspect, what do I need to teach my kids about how they think, how how to help them, how to imagine the right things, help them how to deal with their emotions, help them how to win regardless. Like for example, when my daughter comes to the park, sometimes she might not have, her friends might not be here, so I teach her how to play by herself when she's alone. I teach her how to play, like be okay with or without your friends. You should learn how to be okay. Of course with your friends it's much for fun, right? But if they're not here and they happen to maybe be somewhere else with their parents, then that doesn't mean that fun has been shut down. You can still have fun whether they're here or not. Yes, better still when they're here, but if they're not, you can still, there's life after no friends, so I try to teach how to win regardless, so those are the things that I'm trying to do. And you go to the social life, how to deal with other people, how to deal with herself first, because these aspects are about how to deal with yourself, how to build yourself up so you can produce a better version of you to yourself, to the creator, and to others. So that way, to the creator first, to yourself, and to others, so that way it becomes easier to deal with yourself. It becomes easier to, people find it easier to deal with you. And what are you doing? You're minimizing distractions. That's what you're doing. And all the way to how they can relax if they're tired, taking naps. So they start understanding the importance of these things, and they start like living purposefully and with understanding, leaving nothing to chance, leaving nothing in mystery, taking the guesswork out of a lot of things. Of course, it doesn't mean that now you know everything. That's why we're constantly learning. But very, very, very important to I don't want to say the word share, but I want to say to pass it down to your kids, to pour it out on them. But it also what that means is that you have to also be consistently learning. Finding it hard to talk here. You have to be consistently learning yourself. As you teach, you're also learning. I learn, I work on learning something new every day. I like going to bed smarter than I woke up that morning. So somebody's holding my hand, pulling me up, and I'm holding my children's hand, pulling them up. So we kind of like going up, because remember, life is an uphill battle, and it doesn't matter. You could have nephews, nieces, friends. Like I said, your inner circle. Your inner circle could be your kids. For me, it's my kids. My wife, my relatives. For you, it could be your friends. It could be your closest friends. But the only difference is with your friends. You might have a friend who doesn't want to learn what you're learning, who might not be interested in advancing and developing themselves. That might not be a good friend though, because they might be holding you back. You want friends who fertilize you. You fertilize them. You want friends who are willing to keep moving forward, who understand that life is about finding ways to troubleshoot real quick whenever there's a challenge, to maintain and to take whatever it is, all these aspects to the next level, and as well as your purpose, your dreams and your goals. So have a plan on once you've taught them something, think about the next thing you want to teach them. And once they've learned that, think about the next thing. For example, the way you teach your kids how to ride a bike. Once they learn how to ride a bike, then you're like, okay, think of the next thing you want to teach them, and the next, like it never ends. Even when they get to be adults. Even now, my son being at 19, I thought he would be like not want to do it anymore, but he still it's in fact, as a matter, I read somewhere a very smart person said that they adult children actually end up needing you more when they grow up, even though it doesn't look like they do. They might not act like they do, but they actually end up needing you even more. So till today, he still wants me to like continue with it. Like even right now, there's book that he reads and he sends me a review, a short review on what he read. So that way he can like an accountability type thing, and at the same time, the best way to learn is to teach others. So I ask him to learn this, so in a way that you're able to teach somebody else and make me your student. Read the book. When you write the review, I will be both your teacher who's gonna analyze your work. Maybe I'll be your critique, and at the same time I'll be your student. So that's what we do. And he's read a lot of books. So this is something I've seen work. I've seen like come to life. I've seen like my kids are playing at the park, so I was trying to tell her not to interrupt me on the video. So I'm always thinking of what's next. What are they going to be? What milestone in life are they about to hit next? And I start teaching them about whatever that milestone is before they get to it. So that way there's no surprises once they get there, and like I said, then I see even my daughter and I was trying to teach other kids what I'm teaching her, and that's amazing, because that means that when you teach, you end up learning it. It ends up like the paths in your brain that are created with new information, the groove becomes deeper and deeper. So that means it gets ingrained in you, almost being part of your DNA. So with that, please teach your kids, but you also have to be learning, because you can't be teaching them what you're not learning. You have to constantly learn so that you have something to teach, but based on the the 7 aspects, your purpose, anything really. So that way, and they'll be glad that you did that. And with that, I believe this video has come to an end, and I will see you all the next one.